Hello, beautiful, vibrant souls. I'm so glad we could come together today. We'll pull some cards for the collective. We'll start with my tarot deck using the Tejote deck to pull cards that may or may not resonate with you as an individual, but there's always beautiful messages within. Ooh. We have some excellent messages here today. Four of Cups, our luxury card, things feeling quite comfortable in some areas of your life. And yet we have to be very, very cautious about what ideas we hold about spending, material things, possessions, and the collection of goods and things that we desire, because there's times that we feel abundant financially, and then we go and use this money to obtain things that we think that we need or want, only to discover later that these things serve no purpose. There were so many better ways to utilize those resources. And this card encourages us to focus our energy and our resources on things that provide real value in life, experiences, connections with other people. Yes, being generous to other people with your finances when you can is a wonderful quality. Philanthropy is a wonderful virtue when it's something that you're afforded. But there's something that's even greater that the Four of Cups references, and that's the patience, generosity of your time. When people reach out to you and they need to talk, do you give them some of your time and energy? Now, granted, there's times when we have to protect our own energy and we have to limit the exposure that we have with other people. Absolutely. But this is not about those times. This is about the times when you do feel very much like you're able to accomplish all your things and still have some extra time. So, not just other people, but then for yourself. Are you able to celebrate time yourself? Are you doing the things that you love? Are you spending time reading? Are you spending time doing things just for pure enjoyment? Today, the first thing that popped into my head was, I want to put my skates on today. I don't have the opportunity to go to the rink that I have a perfect floor for using right here. There's no reason why I can't put my skates on and spend an hour or two with music and really practice and enjoy something that gives me a great deal of joy, and it's something that I haven't taken much time for. So this card asking us to celebrate and indulge in things that are meaningful, not just things that we can spend time on. The Moon card is about illuminating these things that we have been somewhat in denial about. So there may have been some areas that you've been trying to ignore. You've been putting your head down and just working and not acknowledging that you need to provide yourself with some balance. There's some areas that you've pretended, some problems that you've pretended would just go away, and they're not. They're not going to go away. The Moon card asks us to appreciate the dark for what it can offer us in perspective. Now, so many people will go outside and look at the moon and say, oh, it's so beautiful. But they won't look at the dark side of themselves. That little voice that creeps in your head, and say, that's also beautiful. There's a dynamic there that helps me think differently about things, that helps me confront areas that I didn't want to think about. The Moon card asks us to find beauty in the balance, in recognizing that we're not always perfect, we're not always virtuous. And sometimes we have to to indulge in this other side of things and really kind of allow ourselves to take that perspective so that we can appreciate and value it just as much. This card is telling me right now that there's some folks out here who are trying to pretend that that part of themselves doesn't exist. That they're just always doing the right thing, they're always making the right choices, and they're never acknowledging the parts of themselves that frankly need to be addressed so they can be worked on. So think about what areas you've been ignoring. Now, our Prince of Wands indicates that this may be a little bit of a short temperedness, this tendency to be a little bit self involved, to focus too much on yourself. And when other people want your attention, then you have a problem with that. If people don't agree with the way that you want things to go, you cut them off. Very quick to cut people off is what I'm getting here. That you don't like it when somebody's opinions don't align with your own, when they challenge your thinking. You're almost taking it personal, like it's some kind of an offensive thing to you, and you would rather get up and storm out of the room than say, that's interesting, what brought you to that understanding or realization, or that's a perspective I haven't considered yet. He's got force, he can get things done on his own, absolutely, but is that the way we're supposed to be doing things? Is that beneficial to your life, to be in an echo chamber? It's frankly not. And while it can be difficult, especially if you feel as though you're of a higher intellect, sitting in a room with people spouting off things that you know are factually incorrect can be challenging. It takes a lot of patience. It does. But that's what these cards highlight, are these areas of life that we're supposed to focus on and spend a little bit of time observing so that we can do better. Cards aren't meant to just give you step-by-step directions or foretell all the beauty in life and the great things that are happening. Sometimes they're supposed to uh, give you areas of self-reflection. The moon is a self-reflection card. This guy, he's got great qualities, and there's qualities that you have that are wonderful as well. But he's also got some areas that, aren't the best thing. When we're looking at these three cards together, what I feel is that we have been willing too much to stay on this very superficial level of connection. That we haven't been willing to really dig in deep. We haven't been willing to expose ourselves to people and situations that challenge us emotionally, that force us to look at our own lives and our ways of thinking in a different way. We're very quick to cut them off and run away from these challenges rather than try to benefit from them and learn from them. That's the whole point of these three cards here. Let's try to challenge ourselves to hear out people. And if you do feel that you're in a position where you can provide some perspective to another person, do so with a sense of graciousness. Understand that you didn't know everything at once either, and that you may be an opportunity to open someone's mind to something new, just as they've opened your mind to something new. Okay, so we have really beautiful cards here today. I love all my cards. I call them all beautiful. Even the ones that are challenging to explain or represent areas where we have to work hard. And that's what we've got here with diligence. And we've also got time to heal. I'm getting from spirit that some of us think that we're farther along in our healing than we are. And that's easy to happen. Because once you accomplish one layer, there's this lightening, right? Kind of an exuberation of, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I figured that out. I overcame that struggle. And there is supposed to be this period of celebration of that accomplishment. But too easily, we will be kind of carried along in that energy. And then the universe challenges us. It triggers us. It forces us to confront another level of pain and difficulty that we've endured in a way that we hadn't even considered yet. Something that just I didn't even realize that was something that I was dealing with. We react quickly, sharply. We're offended, we're hurt, we're angry, we run away, we turn away from it, we shut people down, we cut them off, we block them. But we haven't taken an opportunity to step back and acknowledge that. And we know this, we say this all the time, but we don't acknowledge it in truth, in reality, in our lives, that healing does happen in layers. So before you immediately respond and react to that, kind of step back and say, okay, this is clearly something that is making me feel a certain kind of way. Maybe there's something here that I need to dig into. So the cards here are indicating that there's some more work to be done. And it's going to be a steady and consistent work for probably the rest of your life. None of us are going to be free of these lessons and these levels of healing because none of us are going to truly be healed. The world is cruel. And there are experiences that happen on a daily basis, not always to you, but to other people. And it'll hurt those other people in a way that they may lash out and hurt you in a way. And then you're going to experience something that causes damage to you, and then you're going to lash out and you're going to cause pain to another person. So it's all of our work to continually work through these levels and cycles of healing. So recently you have shut yourself down or you've pulled away from an experience. Myself personally, I immediately am thinking about a person that I kind of interjected my opinions and thoughts and feelings onto them without them asking for it. They seemed like they were asking for help, so it wasn't totally just me being rude, but it seemed like they were asking for help. And when they were rejecting this interaction, I was like, all right, whatever. And I just gave up entirely and walked away from it. Because that rejection triggered something in me. It was the here I am trying to do work for someone else again. Here I am trying to be the savior for them. But that doesn't do them any good. All I can do is be a mirror. All I can do is be a reflection of the work that they need to do. Whether they choose to see it and do the work, it's not up to me. You can't force people to do this work. You can't force people to see the lessons in front of them. You can be a mirror to reflect that, but that means that you have to do the work. I wanted to give him this lesson that was right in front of him, and I thought for sure he could just grab it, pick it up, and do the work. But my lesson in that, my trigger in that was that I was immediately trying to save someone again. I was trying to, not necessarily in the way of people pleasing, but I am a service. I'm a person of service. I love to show love by doing things for people. And that includes sometimes trying to help them work through problems that they're not themselves ready to face and address. So I have really no business confronting people's triggers in that way. But I took it upon myself and then took it as a rejection. And that rejection felt very much like an offense to me personally, even though that rejection was simply that they weren't ready to look at the mirror. They weren't ready to do that. So there's still work to be done. There's still a lot of work to be done. I still have to dig into why did I feel like I needed to do that person's work? What did I see in them? Did they remind me of a situation where I was not able to help someone? And that led to me feeling rejected. And why did I feel inadequate? And why did I feel rejected in that situation? We all want to help people. We all want people to see things that we can obviously see in front of us. But why? Shadow work is a constant questioning of why you think and feel and do things the way that you do. And we always want to think that everything that we do especially when we're on our healing journey, is so altruistic. It's, oh, well, I'm here for everyone else's benefit as well. But if we truly believe in the way the universe works, and we truly believe that we're fractal beings of a whole, it's you that needs to do that work. It's you that needs to be beneficent to yourself. You need to be giving of yourself that energy. It's not your job to heal anyone else. It's only your job to turn that back around, look in the mirror yourself, and figure out what it is that you need to be working on right now. And nobody else is going to be able to do that for you. You are not going to be able to find healing or feel better about your own situation or your own life by giving somebody else some answers. That's like handing somebody the answers to the test and saying, well, I helped them pass. Did you really do anything for them? Because at come final exam, you're not going to be able to hand them the answers. They're still going to fail when it comes down to it because they didn't build the skills and knowledge on their own. And on that same note, if you aren't addressing the reason that you decided that that was the best way of helping them, you're not gaining anything from that aspect as well. You're still behaving in a certain way that kind of avoids your own personal damage. Like, I'm just going to go around this problem I have and I'm going to go focus on yours. I'm a good person. Look at what I've done. But I haven't addressed why I feel the need to do that. Why do I need to do that? There's something in myself that needs to be healed when I feel like I can directly approach someone about an area of their healing and give them the answers to it. That's something within myself to address. So there's still plenty of work to be done. It's time to focus on the self, be a little bit selfish. Yes, be a little bit defensive and protective of yourself and your level. And sometimes that means you have to take that time in solitude and do it on your own. So today I'm going to focus on things that make me feel good so that I can allow my brain to breathe. And I'll get back into this work. I hope you will as well. This is a very interesting combination. I think definitely speaks back to the other two card pulls as well. We have precognition, psychic ability, and future vision. We have miracles, ancient wisdom. And we have self-esteem, which says, I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. My gift is of showing people through my own journey what gains there is to healing oneself. For a very long time, I did not feel that I was worthy of that personal journey. I wanted to share my wisdom and experience with others without actually embarking on that journey myself. Because that's the part that actually took courage. That was the part that really took a great deal of confidence. Seeing my own self-worth. Now, somebody that I don't like to give him a lot of credit, but I will give him credit for this, said to me once, self-esteem is in the word. It's how you feel about yourself. No one's opinions, no one else's work, no one else's accomplishments, whether they're accountable to you or not, have anything to do with how you feel about yourself. You cannot do for others and improve your feelings of self. And that was evident in all the years that I spent people pleasing and being of service to others and doing all these things for other people. And I still felt like I wasn't worthy. I wasn't good enough. I had not done enough work myself to see why I was worthy. and why I should feel good about myself. I could see it in other people. I could look at another person and say, oh, look at all your potential. You have so much good in you. You can do this and you can do this and you can do this and you're going to feel great about yourself. But then I would go home and feel very much like I didn't deserve all the great things that they were achieving. I personally didn't deserve all the happiness because I hadn't done enough. No amount of work that I was going to do for other people was going to make me feel better about myself. That work had to be done for myself. And so there was a time when I started to have a great deal of insight from the spirit world. Felt like I was just being inundated with it. It was several weeks where I could barely get out of bed. I was exhausted. I was dreaming intensely. I was thinking intensely and processing all of this information. And I continued to see my throat chakra lit up like a diamond shining. And it was like, you have this gift. You're not using it. You're not speaking. You're not communicating. And I was inhibited behind this shroud. And the shroud was doubt. The shroud was a lack of confidence. I didn't know how to speak without receiving the opinions of others. I couldn't just speak and say, this is what it is. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to believe it, but these are the things that are. I have this knowledge. I have this wisdom. I have this experience. And now I'm just going to speak. Because I was always trying to think of a way to do it better. I was always trying to think, well, my words I don't quite have the vocabulary for it yet. I don't quite have the knowledge that I need. I need to study more. And while these things are true, I'm constantly learning and growing. There was never a point where I didn't have enough to begin. It was just that I didn't feel strongly enough about myself. I didn't feel confidently about myself to begin doing what I felt called to do. It all started with how I felt about myself. And I had to work very much on addressing the words that I was using when I referred to myself. I had begun a habit of self-depreciation in humor form because it makes it easier to address feeling insecure and not adequate with other people. I adapted that habit because I was dealing with the consequences of being mistreated, verbally and emotionally abused. And it was easier if I came to terms with their opinions and then accepted them and made jokes about them before they had a chance to use them against me. I was internalizing their thoughts and opinions about me, which was purely just a reflection of their own inadequacies and their feelings of self-worth being that low that they would even do that. But I didn't know at that time that that's what that was, that was a reflection of their own insecurities. I internalized them instead and felt that the things that I had to say were not worthy of being said. Or at least not yet. I needed to improve upon them. They weren't good enough yet. And it wasn't until I started to address this personal insecurities that I started to feel more confident about doing the work. And then as I did the work, I started talking more about the work. And the more I talked about the work, the more people said, wow, this is really profound. This was really helpful to me. I was here at that time when I first started talking. And the people were saying, this is amazing. This is incredible. Because they weren't at that level. There's always somebody that's still doing work that you've already done, even if you start down here. So this goes for any skill. If you begin a skill, you're doing this skill, you're right here. There's somebody that's never done that. and they think what you're doing is amazing. So sometimes building confidence has to do with the work that we're doing. And we have to ignore the ideas and the phrases and the things that we've uh, held on to for all this time. These are our excuses for not doing the work. It's not up here, so I can't do it. But you're not going to get up here until you start down here. I had to start down here. And then as I did the work, I started to really understand how much I knew. And I started to feel a lot better and more confident in myself. And as I continued to do that work, that continued to increase. And now, regardless of what someone has to say, especially if they think that they're up here and they have an opinion about what I'm doing up here, I know that they haven't really done that work. Their thoughts of me do not affect the work that I'm doing because I know the work that I'm doing. I know how it affects other people. And you have to embody these ideas. We have to become very strong and confident in the work that we're actually doing and not listen to the opinions and thoughts that others have because that is them speaking from their insecurities. I hope this message has helped you. I want you to work on your own internal dialogue about yourself, about your own self-worth, about your self-esteem, because the only person that can determine what you're worthy of and what you're good at is really you. And that should never stop you from starting something new or working hard on something that you love. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. See you next time. Much love.